People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life. All right, episode 8. Guys, we are growing in listeners every single week. Besides growing in listeners and checking out the analytics and the system that we used, it's pretty cool to know that we have a following not only in the U.S., but in Canada and Germany too.
Nice.
We talked about the Canada listeners, but then this week it was like, I guess last week, it said you have Germany followers, and this is pretty neat.
Yeah.
This is awesome. If you guys are from Canada or Germany, send us an email. Tell us how you found us and invite us to perform in your country.
Yeah.
Our passports are ready. We want to go work.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go to Germany and see the castles and things. So we'd have to tack on some extra days if we got to go to Germany, so I could see some castles.
Absolutely, we could take the whole crew.
Yeah.
Rent an RV in a foreign land.
In Germany, rent an RV.
Why not?
Take around the whole family of soon to be 5 now. Oh my.
But thanks for tuning in. If you are enjoying our show, make sure you guys tweet about it. Let your friends know. Share the link on Facebook. The more the merrier that listens to this. We got some cool things coming up. In the future, we're going to have more guests on. I reached out to 4 of my friends today. I have another list of more people that I'd like to get on. But I'd like to get some social media experts on, not only magicians and comedians and entertainers, but a variety of stuff. We can all learn from it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you have going on, Natalie?
Well, we're talking to people about scheduling them, but since I'm about to pop, we told one guy we schedule, well, we'll do it this week, but just be flexible with us, because if I'm in labor, we won't be doing a podcast on at least not on a Wednesday that week. So
yeah,
but,
we just got back from the doctor's office, and they were doing stuff to her and looking at different things, and It's like, is she in labor now? What's going on? We're like thinking it's going to be any second. The doctor's like, maybe 2 or 3 more weeks, but it's supposed to be, what, another month?
You keep thinking that it's going to be any second, and I'm telling you, they have to stay in there for at least a little bit over a week, because, they're born before 36 weeks. They'll probably end up in the NICU, and I don't want that. So they need to stay in there for at least another week. But at the ultrasound today, he was thinking, I'd probably hang on to him for 2-3 more weeks. My due date's not technically till October 16th. It's only the 9th of September. So you got a good, I don't know, what is that, 5 weeks before my actual due date, but they'll be here before that.
But your doctor said that he's happy to induce after 36, if that's what you want.
No, 39. Definitely.
Did he say 39?
Yes, they're considered full term at 36. If they're still in there at 39, they'd probably just go ahead and induce, because 1, I'll be ready, which I already am, and 2, it really isn't good for twins to go full term to 40 weeks or beyond, because it's stressful, because there's just not enough room. So, yep. Anyway, that was a tangent if we ever had one.
Well,
but
we just got done doing that, and while you're in the doctor's office, I was trying to book guests for the podcast. And reaching out to my friends. I have one friend that I talked to, like a month ago, FISM winner, and FISM is the Federation. It's FISM, Federation International Society of Magicians. It's the Olympics that's held in a foreign country every 4 years. It's the Olympics of Magic.
Magic, yeah.
And he won back in 84, 82, 84. And he's a good friend of mine. He has a theater. And we're going to have him on the podcast. His name is Wayne Allen. And reached out to him today, just trying to figure out scheduling. We got some cool things coming up. I'll tell you about next week's guest at the end of the podcast, so stick around. But anyway, this week we thought we'd talk about our little girl, Lana. She's 8 years old.
Yeah.
And all about her work in our magic show. when we were on Fool Us, during the interview portion, Allison asked, so how long has she been helping in the shows? Since she was 4 days old.
Yep. She was due on New Year's Eve of 2011, but we had a contract to do a show on New Year's Eve. So we asked at the beginning of the pregnancy, are we able to induce before that? And he said if the baby is ready, then absolutely. If the baby's not ready, then no. And we were like, okay, well, that makes sense. So we knew we might have an opportunity.
We don't want a baby in the NICU or a sick baby because of a gig.
No, not at all. So, but she was definitely ready when we went for our last doctor's appointment. And so they scheduled me to come in on the 27th of December and induce labor. And so that's what we went ahead and did. And she hung on until the 28th. At 1:14 in the morning, she finally decided to make an appearance. She just decided to drag it out, but that's okay. It could have been worse. But
I don't think we slept the 27th, 28th, or 29th.
I'm not sure how much. Yeah, I'm not sure I slept very much the night before we went into the hospital. I was just nervous.
Yeah.
And you're going into something I'd never given birth before. It's just nerve-wracking. But even now that I have given birth, I'm still nervous about doing it again. I like to. I did Lana's all natural. I'm hoping we can do that with the twins too. So far, we're told yes, as long as things don't change, we'll be able to do all natural. So it's no drugs, just natural, and it's nerve-wracking. When you're going in, you have time to think about it and get nervous. But yeah, no, not much sleep those first few days.
And today they said the babies. You have the one on the right is 5 pounds.
1 ounce, 5 pound, 1 ounce, and the other one is 5 pounds, 2 ounces.
And you still have 5 weeks?
To the due date. I don't think it's going to go 5 weeks.
Wasn't at the last appointment, weren't they 3 pounds?
They were like around 3.5 pounds each. One was around 3.5.
So give them another 2 weeks, they'll both be 7 pounds. Give them another 2 weeks after that, they'll both be 9 pounds.
No.
Yes.
No,
yes. Give them 1 month.
Hush
They'll
them
both
out.
be 9-pound babies.
They will not. I think.
Good gosh, I'd be nervous too.
Don't have room to grow much more. So anyway, I say if they're a little over 5 pounds, we have another ultrasound in 2 weeks to measure again, and then they're just like, after that, it's fine. It doesn't matter. You're ready to go. So 2 weeks, we have another ultrasound. I say they're like around 5.5, maybe almost 6 pounds by then. And then they can just come on out. But anyway, good news. They're doing great. And so anyway, we induced Lana because of the New Year's Eve show, because I really wanted Wes to be there. We did the Bradley birthing method, which is a natural childbirth, and it's husband coached. So Wes has a big role during labor as far as helping me. So I really wanted him to be there. And, obviously we had a contract signed for New Year's Eve that we didn't want to miss, which I'm sure they would understand, but, you don't want to miss a show like that. So since we could induce, we went ahead and induced and came home from the hospital, I don't know, the 29th or the 30th. And then both of us, me and her, were at the show on the 31st. Granted, neither one of us did very much. It was more of a, we're here to support you as you do the show, Wesley. But he introduced Lana to everybody at the end of the show, and they just thought that was uber adorable.
And our friends, Amy and Brian Bowling, were there. They babysit for a little bit during the show for some reason. Did you help with an illusion? We did an illusion. We did something.
There was no illusion No, I don't think we did an illusion.
I think you're wrong.
I don't think I could have done an illusion that close to giving birth.
I think you put me in the box, made me disappear.
There's no way I could have pushed you around in that box.
You think?
That soon after giving birth?
I swear we did an illusion. I got pictures. I'll find it.
Okay, well, if you swear, you show me. I was a little hazy because I wasn't getting much sleep at that point.
Because that's why. Why else? If you were just sitting back behind the table, why would you give the baby to them?
Because I was setting animals, and Amy really wanted to hold her.
Yeah, and Amy's baby was due like 3 weeks later.
No, in February. She came in February. Yeah.
So a month later. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Anyway, but Lana. So Lana was there 4 days old, and she was at our first show.
Yes.
But, I mean, she's always been a big helper. Even when she was a baby, we would take her to shows and put her under the table in her car seat, and people didn't even know she was there.
Yeah.
You know, so we have travel cages, one bungeed on top of the other, that fits underneath our little table we perform on. Uh-huh. And then we'd put Lana in her car seat, poking out beside them.
Yeah.
And we did shows, and people didn't even know she was there until we were packing up leaving. You had a baby here?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I have to, every once in a while, there's a show you got to take her out because, babies, you got to change a diaper, you got to feed them something. But for the most part, nobody really knew. We tried to keep her quiet with a binky, or I'd go feed her or something. But, yeah, she wasn't, we want to make sure, we want it to be a family show, and we've done that. And so we wanted to be able to take her to every show. And so it worked out.
And she only knows the show. I mean, from being in the car, riding from show to show to show, since she was 4 days old, she's used to it. She is 8 years old now, and she says, how much longer? How much longer?
Yeah.
But no matter what answer you give her, whether you say 5 hours or 20 minutes, it's always, okay.
Yeah, okay.
She doesn't complain.
No, she does not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's people that, that we knew that had babies around the same time. We had Lana, and they're just like, how do you keep her in the car? We went on vacation, and it was a scream fest the whole time. I'm like, well, that's because we have her in the car all the time. She's used to it. You can't just, you have your baby at home all the time, and then all of a sudden expect them to sit in a car seat for 5 hours.
Our kids running around restaurants, going out to dinner.
Right. So that's one thing that we'll have to do with these twins. Take some car rides. If our schedule isn't up to par yet when they're born.
No, our schedule could be up to par really soon. Well, don't talk like that.
I'm just saying, we're gonna have to take some car rides to get used to it when it does get up to par. So
anyway, so Lana learned to walk on stage while I held the bunny in front of her, and she would wobble towards it like a carrot in front of a horse.
And it's so cute. She loved to pet the bunnies, and she's loved animals from birth. She just always has loved animals, animal lover. And so Wes held that bunny out for her, and she had her arms out and big old smile on her face, and just wobble after that bunny.
And since she could set up, I have pictures of her setting up in the back of that school in Maryland. And she was in the back of the crowd. She would just sit up. She'd watch every single magic show I did. She
came with us her first show there. She was in a car seat, and she made a couple cooing noises before the show, and they figured out we had brought her with us. And it was a show. It wasn't a show for the students that time. It was a special show for the teachers and administrators.
Staff.
Yes. And they were like, oh, no, you don't have to let me hold her. And, oh, no, let me hold her. I think she made the rounds during the show. I mean, so. They
just passed her around the whole time.
So they enjoyed that.
She never went out of her eyes because she was in the audience. We could see her getting passed around.
Right, yeah. And it was just funny. It was cute. But yes, I took a picture of her in the very back of the audience when we did it for the students.
There was like 300 kids
and she was like 11 months old. She wasn't even a year old yet. Yeah. And then I took another picture of her like that. We had to do virtual this year, so I couldn't do it this year, but it was last year in the wintertime at some point. And I just told her, I said, Lana, sit down back here. And I took a picture of her from behind her and just put those up side by side. And it's just amazing. So cute. So adorable.
But when she learned how to walk, she would help us. She would try to help us with the magic shows. And Natalie would hand her something small. Just put this on the table and do that. Okay, Mom. Okay, Mom. And
Yeah.
she'd try to help set up like Mom sets up the show.
Yeah.
And then we would pack up, but we have video of her pushing my cart, pretending to push it up a hill. And I'm like, oh, Lana, it's heavy, push.
Yep.
Now, she's 1.5 years old. She's not really pushing that thing.
But it's so cute to watch that video because she pushes and she pushes, it's up a little incline. And she pushed up a little bit, and then she walked out from behind and said something along the lines of, okay, Daddy, you okay? And then she went back behind the cart and kept pushing. She checked on you, too. So I thought that was real sweet. She's a sweetheart. That was cute.
But we used to take the babysitter on the road with us everywhere we went. And
for the illusions, if we had an illusion in the show, we'd take a babysitter.
And during the summer, that was like 3 or 4 days a week, it seemed like.
Well, yeah, that's a busier time. But yeah, if it wasn't just a regular basic show, no illusions, we could do it on our own. But with illusions, we always take a babysitter.
But at one show, we didn't have a babysitter with us because we thought we were doing a small show with no illusions. But at the last minute, they asked us if we could do something bigger. And it was just pure luck that we had our sword basket in the show from a previous show.
Yeah.
So we decided right then, all right, Lana, this is how you hold the sword.
Right.
Now hold it way up above your head. Because, I mean, okay, it's a sword, guys. It's a magic show. You're not going to chop anyone's head off with it.
Right.
But it's still a piece of metal. And the ends are blunt. But here's the problem. They just cut them off. So it's actually 2 sharp sides on the end of the blade.
Yeah.
Like, both sides could scratch you. So I had her hold it way up above her head. So if she did fall, that would go. It wouldn't fall on her. There's no way the audience can yell at me saying that she shouldn't be holding that or something.
Right.
And we decided to let her help us with it. And we rehearsed it twice and got Natalie out on stage, put Natalie in the box. And then I said, okay, Lana. And the whole audience just gushed.
They soaked it up.
Lana handed me a sword. Then she handed me another one, and I put it in the box and stuck it through her mom. Then she handed me another one. And then it was a bamboo pole, and I would tap it on the ground. And after doing that trick, 10 times with Lana on stage, before Lana handed it to me, she'd tap it on the ground first.
The bamboo stick, yeah, very cute.
Just to show that it's solid, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
because you did it, so she was doing it too.
And then she would clap her hands and open her arms up when everybody started clapping. She did a really good job. And
she did.
And what was she, 3 years old?
Something like that. That show it was the perfect storm of making it work out because we don't normally have illusions in the van, but we had done that illusion a couple days before, and we would always bring a babysitter with us for illusions because there's just a split second where the two of us, neither one has an eye on her. And that split second is what scared me. And I was like, I don't care that we have to pay them for the entire time they're at the show. It's just going to have to be what it is, and we have to bring them. But this show, we show up, and we had done one illusion for a show a couple days before. We get there. Luckily, we got there early. This is why I'm saying it was a perfect storm. We got there early because we didn't have anything else to do. Normally we make up something like, we're early. Let's go look around at this shop or that shop and just window shop or do this, that, or the other thing. This time we were like, let's just get there early. We figure out where we're going to park and set up. And so when we get there is when they ask us, can you add an illusion to your show? And we're like, actually, yes. Because we had it in the van. And they were like, but we have Lana. And then it just worked out. We got there early. We were able to rehearse it. That way she was in our eyesight the whole time. And it worked out great. She really listened. I mean, if she didn't listen, it wouldn't work.
At 3 years old, she took it seriously and really did what we told her to do.
Exactly, yeah. It all worked out. All fell right in line, and it worked out perfectly. And it is just the freaking cutest thing.
The funniest part is, at the end, I tell her to hold her hands out like she's collecting wood.
Yes.
And I stack the bamboo pole and the 4 swords in her hand.
Yeah.
Or on her arm. And I said, now go put it over there. Well, they're on her arm like a stack of wood. So she just lowers her arms and then crash, crash, crash. And the whole audience is just laughing so hard. She doesn't try to put them away gingerly or anything. She just
lets them drop.
dumps them. But she dumps them right where she's supposed to. She did exactly like she was told.
She did great. And I mean, man, for only being able to really rehearse it a couple times, she did perfect.
It's just, she knows how seriously we take the show and how important it is. And when we say it's serious, she knows. She doesn't play around.
But at 3 years old, to be able to do that is pretty impressive, I think.
And
so
one of the things I tell people, you know, they'll try to talk to her after a show, and they're like, they see her on stage and they see a personality, and then after the show, she gets tightened up. She doesn't talk.
She gets shy.
Well, she pretends to be shy.
No, see, it's different because you're not looking. So you're in front of a crowd. I think for her, being in front of a crowd is normal. I mean, she's been doing it.
She doesn't
since
care.
She was a baby.
500 people, 1,000 people, 50 people. It's all the same.
You got the crowd looking at you. Okay, that's fine. You can look at me. I don't mind. But then you get one-on-one. Oh, now you want to look me in the eye? You wanted me to talk back to you? You want to have a conversation?
And it's not rehearsed.
Right. So she's like any other kid where she's just shy. So she gets, and she's still kind of like that at 8 years old. Very much so. But I was always shy. You're way more outgoing than I have ever been.
I don't have a shy bone in my body.
Put me in some situations where I'm just like, I want to be like Lana and hide behind somebody.
Now I hear about that.
I can't see you. You can't see me. That's kind of what I want to do every once in a while. But
all right, what is that? Give me one instant. I want to hear.
Not as outgoing as you, and you're very, bam, you are there, and everybody knows it. And me, it's kind of like, I'd like to get to know you first, kind of like Lana. I'd like to get to know you first.
Well, when
then
she
I
was
will talk to you.
When Lana was little, I'm talking maybe 2 years old, before she started handing me swords on stage, one of the first things we did, we knew we wanted to get her in the act, and the younger we got her in the act, the cuter it would be. And we weren't going for a cute factor. We wanted her to do magic. It wasn't that we were putting her in just to be cute.
No.
We wanted her to do something magical.
And we wanted it to be a family show.
Right.
So that includes the whole family. And if the younger you start her out, the easier it's going to be when she gets older. She'll be used to it. So
anyway, I do a trick in my show where I produce a silk from my bare hands. I show both my hands empty and produce a silk from it. And Natalie backstage, just one day, I was just filming them playing backstage. It was one of those shows where the people at the venue were making these long, drawn-out announcements or award ceremony. And we're there. Our show's supposed to start, but the award ceremony's still going on 15, 20 minutes later. Mm-hmm. And we're just back there playing. And I recorded you doing it, and Lana pulled the silk out of your hand.
Yeah.
And she made this.
Yeah, but supposed to be kind of like a ta-da, but it wasn't quite.
And we were like, all right, we got it. So then whenever I showed my hand empty, I would just make a fist, turn my fist upside down, thumb towards the ground, and Lana would reach in my fist and pull out that silk, and she would do magic. And that's what she did from like 2 to 3 before she really started helping with the doves and the bunny rabbits and the final bow and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's how she really got her start in the show. She was producing silks from my hand.
Yeah.
And she's a trooper. When she was 5 years old, she saw my picture of my upside-down straitjacket escape in my magic room. Mm-hmm. And she said, Dad, how old do I have to be before I can do something like that? Because she's asking stuff like, I want to do more in the show.
Yeah.
Dad, I only have 3 things in the show. You have like 20. Mom has like 6. Can I have more? I mean, she's very blunt and upfront with me.
Yeah, one time she was like, why don't we do it this way? Daddy does a trick, Mommy does a trick, I do a trick. Daddy does a trick, Mommy does a trick, I do a trick. She wanted everybody to have equal amounts of magic tricks in the magic show.
I didn't hear about that part.
Oh, yes.
But I told her, I said, honey, you can't do an upside-down straitjacket escape. But if you want to learn how to do escape stuff, the way I learned was my dad would tie me up with 100-foot of rope. I would hop into the bathroom because I wouldn't let him see me how I did it. I would lean against the door. It would shut. And then I would wiggle and squirm and bite knots and do everything I could to get out. And It would take Dad 45 minutes to tie me up, and I'd be out in 3. And I'd say, okay, Dad, that was awesome. Now do it again. And he's like, that's not fun for me.
Right.
Because it's 45 minutes to tie me up. He was really trying hard. Now, a couple times he kind of just got to a point where, no, I'm going to do it this time. There's no way you're getting out.
Determined.
And then after, the 8th time, after, 2 weeks, he was like, no, this is not fun for me.
I don't blame him.
But I gave Lana 10 feet of rope, and I glued the ends down or did something to the ends so that they wouldn't fray. And I started tying her wrists together. Now, there are trick knots, trick loops, trick things you can do to the ropes to make it easy to escape. But when a random stranger ties you up, there are things you can do to help get advantage and get some slack and get some stuff and what you need. But I just wanted to see where she was starting from. Mm-hmm. So I just tied her up because I wanted her to feel that helplessness feeling. Because it's one of those things you got to get over. You got to get over that helplessness feeling and say, okay, I'm stuck, Dad. Now what do I do? And I want to get her to the next stage.
Right.
But that little...
turd.
I was looking for a nice word to say. She never, ever got stuck.
Not once.
And then I was like my dad. Well, daggone it, I'm going to tie it tighter, and I'm going to do 8 knots. I'm putting a knot underneath her wrists where she can't bite it, where she can't get to it. I'm going to separate her hands. I'm going to tie her hands together. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Every single time. So I said, Natalie, you tie her up, because I don't know any more knots. I don't know how else to do it. Mm-hmm. And daggone it if she didn't get out every single time.
Yep.
So we had a show.
She thought it was great, too. She was
she
so
glowed.
happy.
She glowed. This was something she was doing all her own. And I haven't taught her anything yet. She's actually getting out. She's just doing it. So we had a show at a resort. It was an outside resort for 4th of July where they set up tents and they have vendors. It's like a street festival type thing at a resort. And this vendor was walking by talking to us. And I said, come here, man. I got a question for you. My little girl's 5 years old. Here's 10 feet of rope. Tie her up. And he looked at me like I was crazy. And
that does sound weird.
And I'm like, no, seriously, listen. Tie up her wrists. She really needs to practice this. She's going to do it in the show later on today. I've done it. My wife's done it. She gets out every single time.
I want her to get stuck.
So
she can learn from it. I
want to teach her the next step. This guy tied her up, and he was probably like an 18-year-old boy, and he was really getting into it.
Yeah.
Daggone it, she got out within 2 minutes.
Yep.
So we put it in the show that day, and we had 3 shows at that place that day. And we have it on video. I think it's like Lana's Rope Escape or something. Wes Iseli's Lana's Rope Escape or something like that if you look it up on YouTube. But I have a guy tie her up with 10 feet of rope, and I tell her, hey, look, you can actually do damage. So don't make it so tight on her wrist. Make the knots tight. But not so...
Don't turn her hands purple.
Don't turn her hands purple, but tie her like you were securing someone to something. You're not trying to hurt them, but I really want you to secure her, and it'd really be good if you got her caught. So really do a good job. And the guy was kind of halfway doing it. I'm like, no, dude, really tie her up. Well, she struggled. And this was the first time I saw struggle in her eyes.
She did struggle.
And I'm like, Lana, you can use your teeth. And she's like, no. She told me, she said, using your teeth isn't appropriate in front of the audience.
Yeah, she didn't want to do that.
At 5 years old, I don't want to use my teeth in front of the audience. That doesn't look good.
Right.
I'm like, honey, well, you got to get out. All right. But she wiggled and she got stuck. And I was like, uh-oh, here we go. Now I'm going to have to be the entertainer to get her out of this. And then the audience started going, Lana, Lana, Lana.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, she glowed. She loved it. She ate it up. Mm-hmm. And she got out.
She had a smile on her face the whole time. Yep, and she finally got out, and she was so happy.
And she, on the ride home, she said, Dad, when the audience went, Lana, 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 that was my favorite part of the show. That was awesome. She loved it. She ate it up.
Yeah.
But the problem is, when you do escapes from rope or handcuffs or chains, you get scratches or rope burns on your wrist. And for a little girl, it just doesn't look good. It was adorable that she was the youngest escape artist in the world, 5 years old, legitimately getting out of this.
And she totally wanted to keep doing it.
Oh, I had to tell her not to do it.
Yeah.
Because it didn't look good.
She did 2 out of 3 shows. But after that second show...
Because she also did the rehearsal that morning, so she escaped 3 times that day.
So, but after the second show, she's starting to get a little red. It had a broken skin, but you could tell it was getting irritated. And so we were like, we have to do that later. You have to do it another show.
And I don't want somebody protesting us or saying that we're abusing Lana or doing something mean to Lana or doing something like that. Or I just don't want it coming off the wrong way to the audience, because it's not meant to come off that at all. It was totally trying to just do something that she wanted to do.
Her. Yeah, encourage her in what she wanted to do. Absolutely.
And but we haven't done it since. She was 5 years old.
Yeah.
She did it that weekend, and she did it at Wilderness Resort as well.
And she asked recently about doing it. But we just, with the COVID, we just haven't had.
But it's been on the back burner ever since.
Yeah.
And man, I was so proud of her. So we'll have to get it back in.
She really did good with that.
But since Natalie's in her 3rd trimester with these twins, Lana's really stepped up with helping you with your backstage duties.
Yeah, she has. It's hard. I can't bend over as easy, and if I squat down to get something done, because I would squat down behind the table that we have set up, and set animals in load chambers and do other things backstage. But if I squat down, I can't get back up anymore. So Lana's been helping me with all that back behind. I can just point and do and say, okay, I need the bunny out of that cage. I need you to put the bunny in here. Perfect. Thank you so much. And, all that different stuff that I could easily do before, but just with so much belly in my way these days, I can't. It's uncomfortable to bend over for too long. And squatting, I need somebody to help me up. And Lana wouldn't be able to help me up at this point. So she has helped me with a lot backstage.
And she helps you set up other props as well.
Right.
And getting stuff ready, not just the animal stuff.
Exactly.
I mean, she's helping with the show now.
Yeah.
But under your supervision. Because everything has to be exactly where it's supposed to be.
Or Wes complains after the show that it wasn't where it needed to be.
Because I'm looking at the audience and I need to reach over and just grab it. So it has to be right where it's supposed to be. So she can't tell Lana, just put it on the table. It's got to be at a certain place.
Right.
So
and she's done really well. She hasn't complained. She doesn't mind helping me, which is awesome. Because, there are kids out there that would just be like, I don't want to. But she has really stepped up, been my big helper, and I appreciate it so much. And I tell her every time, too, that she's just, I appreciate it because I can't do it on my own anymore. And I really appreciate that she's doing that. Because, when I was pregnant with her, I was able to do it all up until the end. But my belly was not nearly this big.
Well, and Lana was probably only 5 pounds at this point last time. And you have 10 pounds, 3 ounces of baby in you now.
Right.
Plus 2 sacks.
Right. So.
Yeah. But when she was pregnant with Lana, I created a mailbag escape for Natalie. When Natalie was pregnant with Lana, I created a mailbag escape for Natalie that wasn't just a mailbag escape. It was a mailbag escape / metamorphosis that I've never seen anyone else do. As far as I know, I created it. And the audience loved it. We had the mailbag. We had these USPS boxes inside the bag that we'd empty out. And there would be chains and handcuffs. And then the mailbag has rivets in the top of it where you put a bar in and it gets padlocked on each side. And it's secure and it's a canvas bag. And she would put me in the bag.
Uh-huh.
She would lock up the bag. And then Mission Impossible music would start. And we'd say the audience count down backwards from 30 seconds. And she'd lift up this curtain. It was actually a square curtain above the...
Went all the way around the mailbag.
Yeah, all the way around the mailbag. And 29, 28, 27... And by the time we got to 20, the curtain was lowered, but it was me lowering the curtain. And Natalie was in the mailbag, padlocked, in the handcuffs.
Yeah.
And so it was great. It was a metamorphosis trick with a mailbag.
Right.
And we were like, oh, well, when you're pregnant again this time...
we'll do that.
We'll just do that, because I created it for you when you were pregnant. We never did it after you were pregnant.
No, because I kept asking about having more babies, and you kept telling me we would, and so we were saving it for when I was pregnant. Yeah.
And the audience loved it. It was unique, different, original. But Natalie is so much bigger this time. And I don't think she can do what needs to be done, which wasn't much. I mean, it wasn't a lot to do that
You
trick.
have to get down on your knees. A mailbag is not 5 feet 10 inches of mailbag. You have to get down on your knees to be in the mailbag.
But I helped you up when you were pregnant with Lana.
You helped me up, but I have to get down on my own. And at this point, I would need I would need something to hold on to as I got down on my knees. Plus, I'd have to be holding the curtain up around you. So, I mean, to do all that, I think it would just end up with me crashing on my knees, and it just wouldn't be a good thing. So, geez.
Well,
it might not have been much, but you tried doing it with 10 pounds of baby in your belly. See how well you can do it.
Well, so because of that, we had to ask Lana to help with magic tricks. Lana, we have some illusion shows coming up or in the works. We might need you to take place for Mommy. And we rehearsing and doing some stuff and went over a couple different ideas with her.
And she was fine with them. She was totally fine with helping out, which was awesome.
But after we told her that Mom did a Dollhouse Illusion years ago, where you have a 9-inch Raggedy Ann doll that I produce out of an empty box, put it inside this empty dollhouse, spin the box around, 2.5 foot tall Raggedy Ann doll comes out of it, put it back in, spin the box around, and then out jumps 5 foot 11 inches of Natalie dressed as Raggedy Ann.
I'm 5 foot 10, thank you very much.
6 foot 12. And you're way taller than me. Way taller. And don't worry about it. It'll come on. But I rehearsed with Lana. And Lana was into it. And she was all gung-ho, ready to help you.
And she's doing a great job.
We did rehearsals in the garage. Everything was great.
Yep.
And then one day we were heading to do Wilderness Resort, which is one of our resorts in Fredericksburg, Virginia, that's kept their schedule and said, you know, hey, we booked you for all these shows this summer. If you can do outside pavilion shows, we'll have you all summer, which none of my other resorts have done.
Right.
And we were doing a small show last week, and I don't know if I said this on the podcast last week or not, but Lana said, I don't like doing shows anymore. And, man, I felt like I was stabbed in the heart. And I'm like, why is that, honey? And she said, I don't get to make friends after shows anymore, and even if I do, they have masks on, and I won't know what they look like the next time I see them. And I let this huge sigh of relief out. And I knew exactly where she was coming from, because she doesn't get to play with friends anymore after shows. She doesn't get to make friends, and that was her favorite part.
Right.
She would sit down in the audiences 30 minutes before showtime and make a friend or two.
Yep. She would look out in the audience and pick somebody out and say, I'm going to go sit next to that person. I'm going to sit out in the audience, Mom, okay? Yep, just make sure you're up for your parts. I will. And she went out there and she'd just sit and talk with them before the show and after the show. And
Bubblegum in a dish. Do you know that game? Let's play it. I don't think Lana knows that game, but she got...
Somebody taught it to her.
She got 20 kids a week to play that game with her.
Yeah.
That was her break the ice game with little kids.
Yeah. And she'd always make friends. But now they wear masks because she's not allowed to make friends. That's hard. Mom, I'm going to go sit next to it. No, honey, you can't. Why? I want to go make a friend. Honey, right now we just can't. We're not allowed to, because of COVID. Oh, this stupid virus. That's what she always says. Stupid virus. I can't wait till it's gone. And then with masks, not being able to tell what they look like and everything else.
And how many friends has she made over the years that, really do want to keep in touch through us? Right. Do you guys have Snapchat? Can my kid talk to your kid on Snapchat? Yeah, it's my account, but yeah, send her a video.
Yeah.
We have that, at least a couple handfuls of kids. Then they come and go.
Right.
They'll want to talk to her really...
a lot at first, and it just sort of fizzles out.
Yep, fizzles.
But then they'll see each other the next year and be like, like they haven't been apart from each other for a year. It's really cute to see. But So anyway, that's what that was about. But the Dollhouse Illusion, she did real well with. The only part, though, that she didn't like was we rehearsed just in regular clothes. And then we ordered her a Raggedy Ann doll outfit, because that's what I would do, because you're going from small to medium to a real life Raggedy Ann. So I had a Raggedy Ann outfit on when I would come out of the dollhouse. And so we got Lana a Raggedy Ann outfit. Well, all of a sudden she did not like the trick. She didn't want to help. And I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And finally, drag it out of her. Mom, I do not want to wear the outfit for the whole show. I was like, oh, you don't have to wear it for the whole show, just for that trick. You put it on, you get produced as Raggedy Ann, you take a bow, you smile, you walk off stage, and you go change back into your regular dress.
Because when you were Raggedy Ann and doing the dollhouse, it's been a lot of years. She was probably a baby. She doesn't remember that.
Yeah. And I would change right away, too. I didn't want to wear a Raggedy Ann outfit for the whole show either.
Yeah.
I mean, one, that doesn't go with the whole show. So, and two, that's just weird. So once she figured out she didn't have to wear it for the whole show, it was just during that trick, then I was like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad again. So it worried me, though, because we have always said we would never force her to do magic in the show. We would rather her just sit off to the side instead of come out in a magic show with a pout on her face, acting like she really didn't like it.
How many magic conventions have I been to over the years that have seen a magician's teenage daughter be the helper in the show, and she's stomping her feet, and she looks like she's emo. She doesn't want to be there.
You can tell it's the last thing she wants to do.
She's frumpy. She doesn't smile. Here, Dad, here.
Yeah.
And it's
we
like,
don't want that.
That's not good at all.
I mean, now she'd still have to be coming to the shows with us, but I would rather her just be at the show and sit off to the side and not be in the show than to be in the show and hate it. So it worried me when she didn't like this, because she was gung-ho, which was great, because I needed her to do an illusion while I'm pregnant. We needed her to be able to do that. And her being gung-ho and happy to do it was just made me so happy, and I was excited to see her in that and so proud of her and how well she did it. And then it really worried me that she decided she didn't like the idea anymore. So the fact that it was just the costume and she didn't want to wear it, for the whole show, that was an easy fix. Well, thank goodness. And she smiled and everything else, which was wonderful.
And without revealing the secret, this is one of those tricks where all I do is spin the box around. You guys are doing all the magic and all the work in the box, which is a 7-step process. It's not just doing one thing.
Right.
It's a lot going on in 6 seconds of spinning that box around.
Right. That's why assistants aren't usually given the credit that they're due. They do a lot.
I'm saying this one trick.
No, a lot. In illusions, it is usually the person in the box doing more work than the person outside of the box. So yes, she had a lot of work to do. She had to learn the steps. She had to get them right. She had to time them right. And she did great. I was just very proud of her. Happy that she was happy to do it. So excited when she popped out of that box, arms up, smile on her face. It was just so sweet.
But at this resort, it was outside.
It was.
I put up my backdrop and curtain, but my backdrop and curtain was for an inside show. This wasn't a big, heavy backdrop. It's just supposed to be inside on stages that doesn't have a curtain. That's all it was for.
Right.
Massanutten Resort, some of the other resorts, I'll put it in front of the stage when we have to load someone in a box or something pre-show.
Right.
Well, I put it up for Lana, and the wind was whipping. And Lana had to run in the van and change out of street clothes or out of her show clothes into her Raggedy Ann. And I'm like, well, everybody's going to see everything. So I'm holding the curtain from swaying, and the audience is so close to the front of that screen. They're
right.
Wink, wink, 6 feet away. Seem closer. And I told Natalie, I said, don't just walk around here. You're going to have to do something. Is there a blanket? So Natalie's holding up a burgundy blanket, a red blanket in front of Lana like she's a bullfighter.
Yeah.
And Lana is like, from my point of view, coming at me, It was like Lana's nose was touching that blanket the whole time and walking step by step.
Yeah.
And that probably caused more people to notice and more attention, but at least it didn't give away the Raggedy Ann outfit.
Yeah, which would have given away the ending once they saw the beginning of the trick of Raggedy Ann doll. Oh, so somehow that little girl is...
But I wish I had that on video, because that was hilarious.
But that's the problem. Not enough hands to video everything.
And
You're holding the curtain down.
I'm
holding the blanket up in front. Lana just needs to get to the box.
And then I put her in the box, and Natalie's holding the curtain, and I'm talking to her, and I'm like, okay, now this isn't rehearsal. This is for real.
Right.
You're going to be in there for like 5 minutes, and then we're going to start the trick. Well, it ended up being like 8. I had to take down the curtains. I had to set the show animals at that point.
People were still showing up, so we were trying to wait for the ones that we saw were coming over. Still, we tried to wait for them to get there.
And Natalie has pre-show music on, so the music's pretty loud. And I go over there and open up the front door of the dollhouse, and I just stick my head in and start whispering to her, Lana, just a couple more minutes. You okay? Uh-huh. Okay, all right. And then I went over there and finished what I had to do, and I walked over. Okay. 2 more minutes. I'm sorry, honey. Okay. And she did great. She was fantastic. Being in that box and being stuck like that, since we didn't rehearse it, you can get claustrophobic. She could have panicked. She could have freaked out.
Yeah, it
wasn't a hot day. We weren't worried about that.
No, it was a beautiful nice day. But I mean, she also could have just been, normal kid. Open up, pop her head in. Dad? We starting yet?
Yeah.
And it's just, those were...
She knows how serious it is.
We rehearsed the trick, though. We didn't really go over that part of...
I didn't think about it.
Right, exactly. You're loaded in the box. You just have to wait. Don't pop your head out. Don't ask if we're about to start. You'll know because you're going to hear the music. But we didn't go over any of that. And she didn't pop her head out or anything like that. So it was probably good that you went over there and said, a couple minutes.
But like my buddy in a second, I'm going to tell you about, if another magician had saw that was very unprofessional going over there and whispering to a box. But you know what? It's an 8-year-old girl that's never done it before.
Right.
And I don't want her freaking out. I don't want her traumatized and never wanting to do this again. I want it to be a fun experience, and I want her to know that Dad has her back.
Right.
And that means more to me than ruining an illusion for someone.
And I don't think that ruined the illusion for anybody.
It didn't. So right after the show... You went to the restroom, of course.
Yes. So they have told me it's all right if I come in and use their bathroom. So I go in.
Because it's closed off to the public.
Right. So I went in the front door because normally we're in their gymnasium, but that's closed. But I went in their front door. I just like to let them know that I'm going back there. And the lady that's there every week, she goes, bathroom? I'm like, yes, please. And then she asked how the show went. I said, it was awesome. And I said, Lana had come with me. And I said, my little girl here, she did the illusion for me since I can't fit in it anymore, being this pregnant. So she did, and she did a great job. And there was another girl that had come to the show. Just, they needed somebody. They always have somebody there, one of the staff members, in case something happens, which never does, but they're there anyway, just in case, which is fine. And she looked at the girl that asked, and she said, oh, she did amazing. That was awesome. So, I mean, it wasn't just the cute factor. I mean, I know there's definitely a cute factor, but it wasn't just the cute factor. They were saying that she did a really good job, which made me even more proud. I was very proud of her. So...
And we made over her like crazy at the end of the show. We both hugged her and kissed her after everybody left.
Yeah.
We didn't want to embarrass her.
Right.
And then...
told her how proud we were of her. She did a great job. She got it all down pat. First time doing it. And this was her first big illusion.
And she was like, what? I only did one trick. You guys are celebrating. And we told her we'd take her to Olive Garden. She said that's her favorite restaurant. It's a tie between Olive Garden and McDonald's.
I know.
Boy, our kid's spoiled. And that's her favorite restaurant. So you're taking me my favorite restaurant and making over me, and all I did was one trick. We're like, honey, that's a pretty big deal.
We're making a big deal out of it because it's a big deal. Yeah. I mean, your first illusion. We went out to dinner special after our first Illusion show.
After Natalie caught the trailer.
We were so happy and so excited and just, we did our first, we're in the big time now doing our first Illusion show. And we went out to dinner and celebrated, so we can do the same thing for her. Take her out to dinner for her first Illusion, absolutely.
And we're sitting here looking off notes to go off of, and they're pretty basic notes just to get us a talking point. But one thing I forgot about Lana helping in the show, since we got back from Vegas, Lana's been doing a poker deal where she beats any adult in the show. Raise your hand if you know how to play poker. You know what hand beats what? Perfect. And several hands of poker are dealt. Lana doesn't need to shuffle. Lana doesn't need to touch the cards, and she'll win every single time. Whether the spectator deals the cards or whether I deal the cards or whatever, doesn't matter. Lana wins. And I got the idea for Lana being the poker person after I looked over at Natalie and Lana at an unused poker table at Planet Hollywood while I was filming for Penn and Teller. I looked over at the girls, and they're sitting at a real poker table in Vegas playing Go Fish.
Yep.
And I was like, this is awesome. So I'll hold up that picture. It's like a 11 by 17 picture of Natalie and Lana playing Go Fish. And I'm saying, yeah, my little girl was allowed to play poker in Vegas, and check this out. And then she beats the people. But I put that video of Lana doing the Dollhouse Illusion online this week. And a friend of mine, Rob Allen, he's going to be in the show on Wes Isley's podcast probably at the end of October. And really great magician, awesome guy, really look up to him. I'll tell you more about him later. But he had suggestions for me, like I shouldn't pick up the doll by its hair. And I told Rob, I said, tell me anything. If you ever see me doing something that you don't approve of or you think I need to improve on, let me know. I might take your advice, I might not, but I don't ever want to be at a place in my career where I think I can't take advice.
Right.
But the reason I picked the doll up by its hair is because I need to hold it next to my shin. And if I hold it next to my neck, I'm bending over way hard with that little 9-inch doll.
Yeah.
And then when I hold it up by its hair at my hip, it's 2.5 feet tall. If I held it by the neck, I'd be hunched over again.
Right.
And then Natalie was way above my head, so that's what I was doing. And I told him, kids don't know Raggedy Ann, because he was worried that it might hurt a kid's feeling that I'm holding a Raggedy Ann doll in not a nice way.
Yeah, because they treasure their doll babies, is what he said.
Yeah, and I'm like, kids don't know Raggedy Ann. But for me, I didn't want to bend over. But then he also said that Lana should have probably pushed that dollhouse off stage or had Natalie push it off stage because I'm the star of the trick. But I'm like, Lana wanted to get out of that suit so quickly. I didn't want her doing that. And that stage wasn't really a stage. It's a pavilion with rocks and gravel. And if she had a rock, she wouldn't be able to move that thing.
Right.
And Natalie's bursting at the seams over here with 2 babies in her. And
I'd have to push it from the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Which would possibly
or walk in front of me to do that.
Not make it roll right. So I don't want to break anything. So.
But anyway, yeah, if you guys ever see me do something, I don't care if you're a magician or not. If you see something that we do that you think we can improve on, we're open book. You tell us anything. And Rob, Allen, buddy, I love you, man. I love you like a brother. Yeah, anytime you want to email me and tell me anything, man, I totally trust you. But we talked about this whole episode and made it all about Lana because Lana has her own episode of Wes Isley's Magiclife that'll be on Jewel TV. It'll actually be episode 3, which will air on September 30th. And I'm not 100% sure. People are like, well, what time does it happen? I think with these internet shows, it just gets uploaded probably at midnight the night before. So it's on there on September 30th.
Yeah.
I don't think it airs like at 9 p.m. or anything. So anyway, check that out. Lana's episode.
It's adorable. It's sweet.
And it's going to show a lot of the stuff that we said about, Lana pushing the cart when she's a baby. Lana's rope escape is definitely on that episode. All of that stuff. Check it out. It's Wes Isley's Magiclife on Jewel TV, which is on Roku and Amazon Fire, Apple TV, all of that stuff. And episode 1 is going to be
September 16th.
September 16th, which is
a week from today.
Wow, it's already here.
Yeah.
And next week on September 16th, I'm going to have my friend Benny Pitts on here on Wes Isley's Magiclife podcast. He'll be on next week's show. You can find him on Instagram, Benny_Pitts. That's BENNY__Pitts. Wes_PITTS on Instagram. He's a stand-up comedian. He's an actor. He's an all-around cool dude, and he's going to be on our show next week. Thank you guys so much, and see you next week. Check us out online at wesisley.com and patreon.com/Wes_Isley for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled WESISELI.